first of all, welcome to the Frogeex Green Tech Talk today on the topic of biodiversity. It's a great pleasure to welcome you, everybody on the call, but especially Mario, because he's going to give us some more details on his experience today. Now, Mario is really, a natural capital manager and a biodiversity advisor and expert by profile, by really from the roots, with education, with experience since 2013, basically having and holding different positions as an external implementation partner or a biologist supporting different organizations. Also working together with the Cambridge University on several projects. And if I'm not mistaken, since 7 till 9 years, you already work in your own field as really advising companies, farms, but also municipalities in terms of, action plans, how to conserve a natural capital in the infrastructure, if it's a landscape structure or if it's an urban structure. Today, it's a special focus on urban structures. So really how to preserve biodiversity in cities. But of course, if you have any questions related to your specific project, etc., highly encourage you to utilize this opportunity and to ask Mario. So with this, I would just, give the word to Mario.
Jana, for your introduction. And it's always a pleasure to talk with you and today with others also. So let's start. Today, I will talk about the cities and the biodiversity in urban areas. And I will introduce myself just a little bit because Jana did it. I call myself like an ecosystem manager, and people call me a biologist, but I think in the time I get different experience, and I think myself like an ecosystem manager. So I see and manage all the landscape, not just one part of the biodiversity. So me and my colleagues manage all the ecosystem services, and so that's why ecosystem manager or natural capital manager, you name it, you can call it lots of names, but if you call just biologists, I think we will lose lots of information about it, because in the beginning I start to work with bats. Some friends call me Batman because I work with bats in agriculture, in the streams, in caves. So I did a lot of work with bats, mainly with bioacoustics. But then I start to work with agriculture in a whole system. So that's why the ecosystem manager. I worked with the plagues, with the insects, with bats, with other mammals, with building ponds, helping the producers or cities. It's the same to improve the biodiversity. So that's why this kind of name, but you can ask me more things in the end. So I started with these slides. There is nothing about cities, but it's a big question. Why does a salad cost more than a Big Mac? I don't know if you know this story.
You can tell us more. You can tell us
more.
Yeah,
it's simple. It's simple. This is an American example, but for sure it's evolving positively, mainly in Europe. But it's the result. It's just why the money goes to meat, then go to the vegetables and fruits. And if you think that the animals, the produced animals, can eat more fruits and vegetables also sustainably, so we can arrange these better. So that's why it's just a question I usually ask to people, if they think why the salad in the table it's more cost effectiveness than a Big Mac. So just to think. Today I will pass you some some images or some questions just to think, because at the end of the day, it's always a point of view. Everything, it's a point of view, a political one, an ecological one. So, but if you look, it's the way you look to the things, you and in this case, the politicians, the municipalities. So it's the way you think the things. And the first image, just to think, if you are seeing the clear image.
Yeah.
It's a point of view. I don't know if you recognize this image.
Yes.
It's just a point of view.
Richard, would you like to share your perspective? Or?
Oh, sorry, I didn't raise my microphone. I was just laughing. Very good.
Okay, it's just thinking about it. So I just have to ask, sorry, because some images are in Portuguese because they are formatted to this, but I will translate you. It's easy. So starting for the first step, what's biodiversity? Everybody, I think, right now, I hope, knows what is biodiversity, but it's the diversity and variety of organisms everywhere and the relationships between them and the environment. So it's the ecosystems. It's the ecosystem vision. I'm sorry, because I always talk about the agriculture. Actually, we talk about agroecology. It's not just ecology, it's agroecology. You have urban ecology. So we talk much about ecology and ecosystems. Of course, they just are biodiversity, but it's the terms, the modern terms to talk about it. And this is a famous image here that it's used everywhere, but it's very simple to understand everything in urban areas, in agriculture areas, everywhere. Because if you start with a very diverse landscape, you have a huge number of species. This can be not a natural, supernatural area, but it can have a kind of mosaic. You have diversity. So the diversity drives to diversity. If you are going to simplify this context, or if you are going to simplify this landscape, you are losing something, and so on. And nature, it's very complex. And sometimes we have to make it easier to understand and to talk with the consumers, with the producers, with politicians, with everyone. We have to talk in a simple way, not a scientific way, because I think sometimes that's the mistake, because we talk about scientific topics and less people will understand it. So we have to keep it simple, but not so simple that we can lose some information. So we have to explain the things very easily. That's why we are talking about this, Jenna, in the past weeks, that we have to start to talk with children in a simple way. We have to explain these kind of things in a simple way. In cities, it's the biggest theater to talk with children, because we have the schools. We have to put that seeds, these ecological thoughts, in the children, because if you have children at home, you know they can change us. They can change our way of see things or do things. So they are the seed of this kind of interpretations. So just to see this simplification of the ecosystem will decrease the number of species. What's the problem of this? The problem, and you can imagine here a city, can be a city, not just a monoculture, but it can be a city. We have less species. We have less species. We have less insect control. We have less. Even you can lose some animal or some plant that can cure, for instance, COVID. If you are going to extinct some species, we are losing something for us. People don't think about that. When we think about losing species, oh, okay, we lost a bear or a lion or something like that, but you don't realize that for our well-being, that's why we talk about ecosystem services, our well-being will lose with losing species, because the pharmacy industry and others will keep some of biodiversity into their business. And here just another explanation of the difference that or the functions that we have in the landscape. We have the structure, the composition, and also the functional. And you have all these kind of ecosystem internet. You have these links, all these is linked. If you lose something here, the net and this story lose some guys and doesn't work. So what do we have to think about? What are the drivers that lead to the declines in nature? We have all of these. This is nothing new. We know everything, but with numbers or with graphics, we understand it better. You have the species extinction. You have the exotic species. We have lots of drivers that all together do this kind of depletion of the biodiversity. This is one of the famous graphics about the boundaries of the planet. Here you have the SDGs regarding to everything, but in the base you have always the biosphere, the biodiversity, the ecosystems. So this is the base, and inside of it we have the society and then the economy. All this nature and biodiversity contribute to our well-being. So we're thinking about cities, and cities are a place where we are always construction. We are always taking out nature to put people because we are increasing. The number are always increasing. So we have to put people in some place. So the cities are the place where we choose, mostly of us should choose to live. But when we manage a city, we have to think that people need houses, okay, but we'll need also these ecosystem services. We'll need air, we'll need static values, we'll need the pollinators, we'll need the trees, we'll need everything to pleasure, to the well-being, from health to everything. Biodiversity, it has to be in the decision making. So you cannot go further without the biodiversity. So just a small explanation, what is an ecosystem services? It's very simple. It's squeeze biodiversity and see what it gives. It's the services. If you squeeze the biodiversity, this is for us. Ecosystem services or natural capital, it's a selfish way to see the nature. It's true. It's what nature gives me with this or with this. It's true. but this is the way, because we are always looking just for us, just for ourselves. So if we can manage the nature, we manage nature or ecosystem service, if you can talk with the politician, explaining them what is the well-being that that tree or that urban park give us, so it's easier to talk with them, because it's a selfish way, but it's always a selfish way, because humankind, it's like that. And to talk about the ecosystem services, just go back to the school. We learn it in the school. We have the small things, the atoms, and then we have the molecules, large molecules, then the cells, then we have the organism. Here we have a frog, then we have a huge number of organisms. You have a population, community, then a landscape, and then the whole thing, the biosphere. So what we manage this, if we manage this, at the start, at the beginning today, I talked that I work with bats. At the beginning, if we work with bats, we just think about bats, manage ways to improve the habitat for bats, to improve the roost for bats. And the other colleagues with fishes, it's the same, with the insects are the same. But if you think that if we manage this kind of landscape without thinking just about one group, and this is real in cities also, and most important in cities, because the cities have small places with biodiversity, so we have to manage it very well and in a whole way. So we cannot manage just a little bit. We have to think it like a part of the city, a part of the citizens. So if you manage the forest and the ponds, everything, you are increasing all the biodiversity, not just for bats or just for dragonflies. You have to think about, that's why we work with action plans, with the biodiversity action plans or ecosystem action plans, because you think about the whole city, the urban, the green urban areas or the green infrastructures, like a wall. So you have to do the net between them. We have to put trees or shrubs in the lines, in the streets, to put all together. This is possible. This is happening. So that's why some cities has good levels of biodiversity, because we have this kind of landscape. We have here an equilibrium. We have here a balance. So if you have a balance, if you are reducing that balance, we have to compensate in somehow. So the ecosystem services are a huge thing, because you have lots of benefits, and you can identify them in each part. But they are mainly about cultural. You can have here the urban and parks, and you have the air quality regulation, we have the water regulation, local climate regulation, cultural heritage, recreation and education, and you have others. You can control the floods here. So this is a mixed. This is not a receipt this is not a receipt, because you can have some ecosystem services if you are improving some parts of the city. Sorry, because this is in Portuguese. That's from a work I did. I draw all these images, but these are the environmental benefits. We have the purification of air, the quality of soils, the control of waters, reducing the winds, recycling the nutrients, we have the cooling, we have the retention of water in soil, we have the carbons, then we have the social values, you have the tourism, you have relaxing, you have shaving, you have comfort in that places. And then you have the simple ones, the ecological ones, because they control insects, they can have the seeds that you can use, you have the pollination, you have the balance between the species and diversity. Here we have the economical ones. I think these are the more important to transmit to people. And then again, to politicians, because we are talking about money. One thing that everyone understands, it's money and numbers. That's why we convert sometimes the ecosystem services in money, in numbers. If you tell decision maker that, or even if you sell your house, I don't know if you realize that people, when you will see your house, they will ask the distance to schools, the distance to hospitals, and the distance to a green area. If you realize, people without thinking, they give value to the green areas. And nowadays it's not evaluated, but I think a house near an urban park will value more than a house, a bigger house in the middle of the city, because it has other values, and you have more health, you have more open air, you have your place, it's evaluated. You have an energy earnings because you are near a cooler area. So if you think about it, I think this makes sense. So green economy, natural capital, what is it? It's a mix of three things: the ecosystems, the economy, and human well-being. And we have here this part. And we never can talk about the ecosystems without economy, or even the selfish way, our well-being. So what's the problem about biodiversity and the cities? We have these three points: the land uses and the exploitation of resources. It's simple. We have the climate change and pollution. We have more cars, more people, more cars, more everything. We have the invasive species, because sometimes we have the urban parks. In the past, some decision makers turn into the park some invasive species that are now a problem, because they are invading some habitats, natural habitats, that are not allowing the natural species to improve. But I think the real problem that we are more and more, because we are increasing our population, it's really increasing. And we don't know, we don't want this, I think, because we have to put people in some places. So if you are increasing, if your people, this is all in Portuguese, I'm sorry, because this is an image, we are increasing our population here. And also the carbon dioxide, it's increasing. And also the fertilizers, because you have to feed everybody in agriculture. So fertilizers also increasing. The usage of water, it's increasing also, because we have agriculture and people to drink. And we have the transportation for everything, for people, for the goods. We have the fishing also. And we have the loss of forest, tropical forest, this one. So this is a problem. And again, the boundaries of our planet. And what are the impacts of urbanization on habitats? We have a lot of, we have the simple one, the habitat loss. So, and we have the fragmentation. Like I said, it's possible to do the links between the places if we think about it. Just not about tarmac. You can have tarmac and trees and shrubs and other things. So it's possible to do this. Okay. You have the kind of that I talk about, the invasive species. We have the import of species for landscaping, and this have this invasion surrounding. It's not just the parks, but also the surrounding parts. Urbanization will increase the air also. That's why I talked about the cooling effect of trees and the green infrastructures. Then we have also the productivity. It's altered, so the trophic structure and the food web, it's all shifts because it's always adapting and adapting and adapting. So it's everything different, and also the conditions of environmental are different, because the behavior of the fauna, the flora, all the biodiversity will improve or not improve, but it will be different, and because it will have different pressures. Also for us, with the more buildings and more tarmac, you will more roads will have more effect sounds, not good. That's why trees and some vegetation and biodiversity will decrease this pressure of noise and other pressures. Here, the term urban biodiversity, it's something like a contradiction, because you think about urban, not about biodiversity. If you think about biodiversity, never think about an urban place. But it's starting to be possible, because the cities, in fact, are surrounded by nature. Cities, if you think, in Europe, our biggest cities started near the biggest river near Lisbon. Starts near Tejo. You have Paris in Reno. You have London in Temesa. So you always have the big cities near a big river, because they are hotspots of biodiversity. That's why we started that, because we have fish, you have meat, you have lots of ecosystem service there. So if it's a good place to eat, then they want to live there near. That's why cities started there. Then we have the rivers, then we have the boats, then we can go fishing. So and we have the transportation. So that's why cities started there. But at the end of the day, they started because biodiversity in the place. So and the cities are growing, and biodiversity, it's all around. So it's decreasing because the city are increasing, but in the end of the day, the city has always biodiversity, or a sea, or a river, or a forest, or a mountain. They always have ecosystems around, natural ecosystems around. So this is very important. And we are losing. If you lose biodiversity there, you will lose cultural identity of people, because people will distance from the countryside, and then they are they are just thinking about and we have the example of the children. When they go to the supermarket, they think that the spaghetti will grow up in a tree, or there are milk factories or or even that a chicken will come without a head and without feathers. So it's losing our identity. That's why I started to say that children are the target to start managing a city for biodiversity. It's a huge point to start, because you have schools, you have the gardens, you have everything with kids. So it's very important for that. Urban biodiversity, it's something like luxury or even a functionality for a city. So you can think that it's both, because nowadays being near a urban park, I think it's a luxury. Like I said, it should be increasing the prices of houses, or even the terrains that will be selling near a park will be increased because they will build a house near a park. So I think we have to think about it like a luxury, yes, and also like a functionality, because you have the ecosystem services inside of it and near of you. So I think it's a functionality with luxury, because I think it's a luxury. Get out of your home and have a bath of functionality and ecosystem services near you, because you can hear the birds, you can hear the waterfalls here in park. You can. I think it's both. So what we have to do, we have to make peace with the cities and nature. And here we have an example. We have this railway that was transformed nowadays in a urban park. So I think they make the peace here. And then we have the certifications. We have lots of things that we can do to increase the citizens' confidence, also in governance. Okay. Also, you can construct buildings also in an industry with the 4 R's. So you can think about it. You can recover and focus on degraded places first. Then you can think and build another one. And that's here that I'm talking about Barcelona. Barcelona, it's a good example in Europe about biodiversity. And these slides are in Spanish, but I will translate it. This is how Barcelona sees the urban ecosystem. It's like that. We have the soil, we have people running, we have the birds, we have lots of trees and shrubs. This is the perfect place to stay. And what this gives us, what an urban area or urban ecosystem can give us. You can produce vegetables in the top of the buildings. Then we have also biodiversity that feeds on it. You can storage some water to that kind of vegetation there. You have the energy, you have the regulation of the temperature that I talked about. You have the organic matter that you can reuse. You have the evapotranspiration. You have the sound. You can block the sound of cars with this. You have more precipitation in a green city than a gray city. Just to realize that inside of the cities, in the urban core, you have less biodiversity, of course. But if you manage the city well, you can reach a huge number of biodiversity, of amount of species there. This is the biodiversity of Barcelona. You can see this is huge. This is a flyer that they have. And This is the same. We have the natural area, and then we are going to simplifying the landscape, and then we have less biodiversity. That's what I talked in the beginning. But we can think, and we can manage the streets thinking about it, about the patches, about the links. So you can manage it. What you can improve, you can put the biodiverse green roof. You can put bed boxes. You can do the habitat walls. You can have living walls. You can have here at 5. There is 5. I'm lost. Here. You can have this kind of rain gardens that will the waterfall and will give water to this kind of vegetation. You have the trees also. We have planters. We have a lots of measures. Other idea. Where I live, we have a lots of industrial pest. So this is not in Portugal, but it could be. You can transform this farm to this. This is the same place. Okay. This is a huge example. And you have these little ones. You have here. This is a mixture because you have insects, a watchal insect for insects, and then you have bats there. Here you have also insects, or nautals for insects. Here you have a stream, but they put some highlands of vegetation inside of it. You have the green roofs, you have the planters also. Another.
Mario, beautiful pictures. Actually, one of them is from the city and from the building where I was working before.
Yeah.
On the green roofs are on the building where I was working before.
You worked here.
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, we were over there, but nice that you included it.
So US also have these green bridges. This is Portugal here. It's near here. It's the railway here. We have this is inside of the urban. You can have carrots and something like that here. And you can do individual options at your home also. Because if you are waiting for politicians or for municipalities, you can do your part also. You have the bird boxes, the bed boxes, also green roofs. You have the energy also. You have the tree clusters. You have trees inside of your parts. So you have a lot of things that you can do.
Thank you so much, Mario, for your time, for the amazing presentation, also the tips which you shared regarding residential and also urban spaces, and what one can do in terms of fostering or enabling or giving just more space to biodiversity.
Here's a question for you: what would you do in a warmer climate such as the Gulf? At least, how would you tackle this? There you go, straight for the jugular. Yeah.
Here you go. That's a challenge. Tell us what you know. What would you do, Mario?
Gulf?
Yeah, Middle East, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia. How would you approach this? Say if you were approached by, let's say, the developers, the owners of NEOM, which is the huge new smart city they're creating in Saudi Arabia. Sorry.
Not too bad, Richard.
Yeah.
I think I don't have an answer because fortunately I work in a country that's starting to think about the question. So, and we have the climate, the perfect climate to do this, and we have some fundings for it. I don't know if in the Gulf area we can. I think it's not easy to start. Also because the climate doesn't allow us. So yes. Because you have the water problems, you have huge problems for it. I think it's a whole different story. I don't have a direct answer, but I think it could be possible. I don't. They have the money, so if you have money, if you want, I think it's possible.
Yes, you mentioned two things that I would like to go back to, and there will be first, is there any kind of ratio that is like recommended? Because you mentioned the ratios for Barcelona, this 1:1, 1:3, one person, I mean, which is massive. I don't know how many inhabitants is Barcelona, but is there any percentage like 30%, it's 60%? What's the number that, in terms of urban planning could be a guidance, like this is the good ratio, which should be a kind of standard for a city?
I think the best it's 1:1.
Okay. Let's be ambitious. You mentioned it, ambitious goals.
Yeah. I think it's not difficult. I'm thinking about Portugal, because when we celebrate the Day of the Tree, of the forest, we are also doing some plantations. For instance, here in Barreiro, in last month, we have a natural area, a natural local area, and we planted about 2,000 trees. So, and they are the cork oaks. So it's our tree where we remove the cork for the bottles of the wine. That's so I think it's possible. I think it's possible, but people have to think. I think the problem sometimes are the citizens, because right now I'm working in the urban areas from the municipality, and I realize that people like trees, but then they don't. Why? Why? First, because they are near the houses. So they are near the houses, and there are people saying to us to cut the trees because they are shading the building. Then we have the pollination. So we have a lot of people asking about to cut the trees. Then we have the question about the birds, because they they make the poo in the cars. So it's difficult, because if you cut the trees, then we have the question that the same person that will ask why you cut the trees, because we don't have shade, so we don't have birds. So it's very difficult to balance. It's not about the politicians. I think it's about the education of people and the understanding. That's why I'm talking about kids. So we have to go to the kids, speak about it, and hope that 3 or 4 fathers will understand it.
Wow.
So it's a small step by step. But people like trees, but they don't. I think this is the phrase.
This is, I think I will just use it, I will just steal it from you and, take it and tag you, of course.
You can.
like a tagline for the call today for the because it was so much value and so much information also that's going to help, people involved in urban planning, or just that want to do something on their own in their house. For example, I love the tips that you shared. And you mentioned also green roofs, that there is a discussion pro and contra, etc. So what would be your contra? Because I just took it. I mean, it's amazing. You can do it on also historical buildings. You shared also in the example a nice picture of a green roof on a historic building. Why would anybody not decide to do so? And why could you understand it? What's your perspective on this?
The people think about the water that can enter inside of the house. It's the first thought.
Because it's a flat roof, or
yes, it's about, they don't understand the whole thing about the green roofs. I think it's not a very usual measure to see in Portugal, the green roofs. You have national and the public structures that have some buildings, but they are from the state. They are starting to have these examples, but you don't see so much in the private houses. You don't, not yet. You have lots of solar panels right now, a lot. You have the panels to heat the water. You have the panels directly to consumption, but you don't have so many green roofs. We have some green bridges, but they are not a lot. We have here near us, we have one, but we don't have a lot. Yeah, but the buildings, it's about, people are skeptical about it. Because they think about the roots. They are always thinking about the damage that can make inside of the house.
So it's like a deep rooted lack of education. What is the real impact of that? You know,
yes, of course. I think if you explain people the thing, I think they will understand. But I think there is not any efforts to talk about it, not yet. It's the solar. We have commercials on TV about the solar, but because you have the energy companies doing it, so they earn money with that. So that's why we have commercials about it, but not about the green roofs.
Hey, maybe we will have some in the coming future. So
why not?
Let's wait for that one.
But let me just say about that phrase that people like trees, but they don't. And again, the citizens, I think they are a problem because, like I said, I work here in a park, and we have the rule to not feed the animals. People don't understand it because they say they always did, everybody did, and so they bring a lots of bread, and the bread it's not good for the animals because it makes some diseases in the bones and formation, so it's not good. So, and sometimes we talk with people and they don't understand this simple thing, so it's difficult to that's why we have to go one by one. When I get kids here in the park, I talk about them, first of all, about the rules. And what are the rules? Not feed the animals, don't cut anything, and don't get something from the park to home. Everything from the park, it's for the park. So don't get flowers, don't get just the fruits, because we have fruits, and it's for the citizens to catch.
Thank you once again to everybody for your time, for being here with us. Please join